everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Pauline, the Analyst. Have you ever been asked questions like, what's our total sales revenue? What is the overall payroll cost? How much inventory do we have? If your question starts with, what is the total of? The answer is the SQL SUM function. This is your go-to tool when adding up numeric values in your database. So let's dive in. So in this video, we are going to cover 1. What SUM does and its basic syntax. 2. Setting up a sample sales database to practice on. 3. Using SUM on a single column and within a mathematical expression. 4. Unlocking its real power by combining it with group by. And finally, using the halving clause to filter groups based on their totals. So on to our next segment, I want us to understand what the SUM is. So think of the SUM function as a super-powered calculator for your database columns. Its one job is to add up all the values in a numeric column and give you back a single total. You use it whenever you need to answer questions about totals, like the total salary expenditure, total units sold, or total revenue generated. So on to our next segment, I want us to create a practical sales table we can use for all our examples. So this will hold our sales records, including the product, quantity sold, and price. For us to create our table, we will use the create table, and our table name is sales, and then we open our brackets. Next, we create our columns, and my first column will be the order ID, and since it's a number, its data type will be integer, and this will be the primary key of the table. Next column will be the product name column, and since this is text, its data type will be varchar, and I do not want it to have more than 50 characters. Next column will be the quantity column, and since it's a number, its data type will be an integer. My final column will be the price column, and since it's an amount, the data type will be a decimal. So close your bracket, finish your query, and then execute it. And voila, our table has been created. Next, we insert sample data into this table. And to do this, we use the insert into our table name, which is sales, and we're inserting values into this table. So for my first row, the order ID is 1, the product name is laptop, the quantity is 2, and the price is 1,000. My next row, the order ID is 2, the product name is mouse, the quantity is 5, and the price is 25.5. Next row, the order ID is 3, the product name is keyboard, the quantity is 3, and the price is 75. My next row, the order ID is 4, the product name is laptop, the quantity is 1, and the price is 1100. For my next row, the order ID is 5, the product name is monitor, the quantity is 4, and the price is 300. Finish your query, highlight it, and then execute it. And voila, 5 rows have been affected. So let's see our table. Amazing, our table has been created. On to our next segment, I want us to talk about how to use SUM on a single column. So let's start with the simplest use case. Finding the total number of products we've sold. We'll sum up the entire quantity column. On to our next segment, I want us to use SUM on a single column. So what do you do if you're asked to find the total number of products that you have sold? In our case, we'll have to sum up the entire quantity column. So for us to do that, we will write select, and you're finding the sum of the quantity column, and its alias will be the total quantity sold, and all this we're getting it from the sales table. So finish your query, highlight it, and then execute it. So the total quantity sold is 15. And just like that, we see we've sold a total of 15 units across all products. I want you to notice we use the as keyword to give our result a clear column name, that is the total quantity sold. This is a best practice for readability. Okay, so on to our next segment, I want us to see how we can use the SUM with an expression. Now let's answer a more business critical question. What is our total revenue? Revenue isn't just one column, it's quantity multiplied by price for each order, and then all of these totals are added together. So we can do this by placing that expression inside the SUM function. And for us to do this, we can write select Then we find the sum of the quantity column multiplied by the price column, and its alias will be the total revenue, and all this is gotten from the sales table. So highlight your query and then execute it, and voila! You can see our total revenue is 4,652.5. So this query calculates the total value for each order and then sums them all up to give us our grand total revenue. So this is a very powerful way to use the sum for real-world calculations. On to our next segment, I want us to see how we can use sum with the group by function. So the question is, what if we want to know the total revenue for each product? We have to use the group by to break down our total by groups. So we'll write select, and the column name we'll be using in this case is the product name column. We'll find the sum of the quantity column, multiply it by the price column, and our alias will be the product revenue. All this is from the sales table, and we'll be grouping it by the product name. So let's highlight our query and execute it. And voila! Look at that. Now we can see exactly how much revenue each product is generating. The group by clause groups all the orders for laptop together and sums their revenue, and does the same for mouse, the keyboard, and monitor. So this kind of summary is very invaluable for business analysis. As you can see, the total revenue for the keyboard is that. Laptop is 3,100, monitor is 1,200, mouse is 127. So on to our next segment, I want us to see how we can use having with the sum function. Now let's say our manager only wants to see products that have generated more than $500 in total revenue. In this case, we can't use where here because we're filtering on the result of the sum. For that, we use the having clause. And for us to do this, we will use select. The column name that I'll be using is the product name column. And we're finding the sum of the quantity column. We multiply it by the price column. And its alias will be the product revenue. All this is from the sales table. And we'll be grouping it by the product name. So we'll also be using the having function. And we'll be finding the sum of the quantity column multiplied by the price column, which is greater than $500. So let's highlight our query and execute it. And voila! As you can see, the laptop generates $3,100, the monitor generates $1,200. So the having clause acts as a filter for your grouped data. So this allows you to focus only on the groups that meet your criteria. So on to our next segment, I want to talk about the common pitfalls and the best practices that you can follow. A quick but important note, the sum function, like most aggregate functions, completely ignores null values. So if a row has a null in the column you're summing, it's as if that row doesn't exist for the calculation. So always be aware of the quality of your data. Very, very simple. And that's the sum function, your key to unlocking totals and summaries in your data. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more future tutorials. If you have any questions or suggestions for future tutorials, don't forget to drop it in the comment section below. So until next time, happy coding!